Okie dokie. Don't need any of this. Close the other tabs. Let's see if the mic check is checked. Well, I've checked it. Okay. Anything embarrassing on screen? Nope. The only thing embarrassing is my code. So, what are we going to be doing today? We are going to be rewriting CocoaPods, which is originally a Ruby-based project. And we're going to rewrite it in TypeScript so that we can use it on Node.js and potentially, let me just check that the HDMI is clean. Yeah, I think we're getting a clean video signal there. Yeah, so we're going to rewrite CocoaPods in TypeScript so that we can run it on principally Node.js, but potentially Bun, potentially Deno. The attraction of Bun is that it has a established system for creating executable binaries, so we can sort of pre-compile all of this potentially inefficient JavaScript into a very quick to download and hopefully quick to operate executable. Deno can do that as well. Last I recollect, Deno actually does larger executable binaries, I think because its runtime is just larger than that of Buns, but you know, either way, what we want to do, if I can make the text a bit bigger for everyone, is just write it in TypeScript and figure out runtime later, but generally have Node.js in mind as our primary user. So the way I'm approaching this is I have gone to, let's see, I jump over to CocoaPods, the original Ruby code, and I just I grab the raw text, I copy all of that Ruby code, and I paste it in to here, and just line by line, I try to figure out what it's doing, and I try to find as close to one-to-one an equivalent that I could write in TypeScript. Now, this generally leads to pretty unidiomatic TypeScript, because Ruby has just got different conventions. It's got, particularly in the CocoaPods code base, we have quite a lot of singleton usage, and yeah, we're just going to have to, I think, take this in phases. So first off, we try to make it as close to original code as possible, so it's easy to compare them side by side, set up a debugger, and step through them each side by side, and rule out any issues. And then, and this will be much later, we'll do a second pass and see, okay, can we make this faster and more idiomatic, or at the very least more idiomatic? But for now, let's see what we can do here. So I've taken, so if we see the original code for user interface, and we'll put them up side by side. Close this off. User interface. So we have a file here, and you'll see it's quite difficult to map these because Ruby uses, well, at least the CocoaPods code base uses module nesting, which the equivalent for that in TypeScript is namespaces, but they have been discouraged for use for many years now. So I'm actually going to express user interface as a class, a singleton class where everything's a static. And I could come back and reverse this decision later, but for now I just need to go and look through all the implementation and convert the implementation. We'll figure out the final shape of things later. Now, I have been having to learn Ruby as part of this. What on earth is that, for example? And we have all sorts of statically declared things up at the module level, and it's all just a bit weird, all of their conventions. And so I think I'm understanding this correctly, but even if I haven't, the great thing is we're writing the whole code base ourselves, so we can diverge a little bit from the way they do things, as long as we keep track of the overall picture. So I've given up on that top module called pod because I don't want to do any sort of namespace merging tricks. I don't want to deal with race conditions or spaghetti code. We're going to try and make each of these modules standalone. So for example, this mix-in right here, I'm going to try my very best to avoid mix-ins because it is a horrible pattern in terms of just setting up the TypeScript types for it, and it's meta-programming and stuff, and I just like to keep things simple if at all possible. So we have those things line by line set up. I'm still kind of figuring out how to read all these little things like attribute, accessor, alias method. We've got things like the Ruby convention of if it returns a Boolean, you make your method name end in a question mark. We could do that in TypeScript by doing sort of keyed names, if that makes sense. You do sort of speech marks around either side of it. But I'm gonna just see, well, TypeScript is strongly typed, so we can see it returns a Boolean, so we don't actually need the question mark. So as long as we are diligent and well-orientated, we will be fine. So we'll take a few liberties. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, this needs to be a code base that we can navigate. So you see what I've also done is I've brought the dot comments along. And I've filled in a few of these already. So you see our section. You know, if it's... this ensure thing was quite interesting. That, to me, translates as a try block for finally. Now, what's the next one to tackle? We've got this titled section, so let's just write that out here. So, let's give it a go then. We have an options object. Now, the options is actually mixed in the original Ruby code, but I took a different convention to avoid that mix-in, and we're just holding on to a config that we assigned up here as a one-time thing statically. So we shall give that a go. And Ruby, of course, hides this values, so it would be this relative indentation. No, it's not. So relative indentation. Let's just take another window here. Let's make this a bit wider and search where is relative indentation declared. Oh, right, no, okay. So how does this work? Where were we? We're working on titled section. Title takes a certain number of options. Let's go side by side again. Title takes a certain number of options, and if the options include relative indentation, then we just... Okay, yes, so this is actually just a good old local constant. Oh, Prettier is not happy. Why? Oh, yes. I'm still getting in the zone. So, of course, I can't prettify that because it's got a bunch of Ruby at the end of it. So, hold up. Return that to normal. We'll take that and we'll just write const relative indentation and we'll figure out the rest here. So, options is actually... So, if we have... No, we do definitely have an options, but we may not have relative indentation. I'm a bit surprised that's not filling itself out. Really? Why isn't that auto-filling? Oh right, there's some weird display issue. So if we've got a relative indentation, well really, so whether we go with this or that is actually equivalent because of how falsy handling works here. If they'd given explicit 0, it's no harm done because we fall off to a 0 anyway. I like using this when possible, but here it doesn't make such a difference because we know it's not going to be passed null or false or anything like that. So we've sorted out relative indentation. Now, oh boy, this is really hard on a small screen. let's just make this big mode for a moment. So we'll have a verbose prefix, and I'm using snake case here to make the code as similar as possible to original. We'll take options.verbose prefix. And again, it doesn't matter whether we use this or that, because they're equivalent in this case. Now, if we've got config.verbose, then we do something. We run this dot title. So this does actually refer to this, because we're in a static function here. This actually jumps up to the user interface. So we're going to call the title function. We're going to pass along title, verbose prefix, and relative indentation. Save it up, and that's good. Otherwise, we're going to do this dot puts title. Okie dokie. So that bit's handled, and we're going to do this to indentation. I am, of course, covering up everything so you can't see what we're aiming for. So I'll just write down here instead. This to indentation level plus equals a relative indentation. Okay. And then this title level, we could do a plus plus there, and then we've got this yield thing. So I figured that out earlier. And welcome along, viewer number one. How are you doing today? This is Saad Najmi. Ah, yes. Nice to see you along. I recognize that name either from Twitter or GitHub. No, either from Twitter or Discord. Are you from the TypeScript Discord or maybe from Twitter? Let's see. So we've got this. Ruby has this concept of you can pass a block to a function. And it can yield to that block, and I figured that out before. So the way to express that in TypeScript would be, well, one way to do it would be we pass along an optional callback, and then we'll call the callback if given it. Ah, you're the React Native macOS guy. Very cool. Yeah, you're a species close to extinction. I'm a big fan of React Native macOS. So I guess you're using the Microsoft fork of it. So there was an older fork of React Native macOS by a guy called Poto Mushto, and the Microsoft team got in contact with him and asked him if it'd be okay if they could use the npm name React Native macOS, and so he actually allowed them to continue the project on from him, which was very nice. Let's see, we'll do a try catch here to do this sort of ensure pattern. So instead of the catch block, we'll go for a finally, and we'll elevate all of this into a try, and then in the finally block we do all of, hold up, I missed that bit. Was this before? And then finally, so let me just check. Indentation level is there, title level goes up, and if the block's given, we do that, and then the final bit is just this little bit here, which we can handle like this. Cells become this, and that might be, well, be minus minus, save, pretty, and then what's happened with this relative indentation? Yes, okay, that's the point. We could. That is non-dangerous. That's non-dangerous, so we can just move out of the block, and that's also non-dangerous, so why not? Perfect. Okay, cool. We've ported one function. Oh wow, Saad maintains React Native macOS fork. Wow, cool. Very cool. Let's actually have a quick look at Native macOS GitHub. Here we are. Oh yeah, there you are. Cool. So are you a Microsoft? Yeah! Awesome. Very cool. How are you finding React Native macOS? Because it does seem to be well maintained, and I know the React Native Windows is very actively developed upon. They're keeping Hermit. They're doing some very special stuff with Hermit. See why I'm interested in this stream. Yeah, there has been a bit of interest in rewriting CocoaPods for Node.js. I think we're all just a bit fed up of a couple of things. One is having that one extra programming language in your stack. It's, we're already having to learn like Objective-C, bit of Swift, bit of Java and Kotlin and stuff, and just also having Ruby there is, it'd be nice to remove it. But especially because CocoaPods is slow, and it's at odds with, it makes it harder to install things because the operating system, macOS, comes with its own copy of Ruby, which it will update from version to version, and it's a very common install friction. Yes, I have played around with AppKit. So yeah, just to read out the chat, I think it's one of the most interesting projects I've worked on. The community is great. Their AppKit is old. Yes, I've played around with AppKit. The cool thing about AppKit is you can run AppKit apps as, if you have JavaScript bindings to it, you don't need to containerize them into a .app file. So you can actually do some really cool apps just in a single index.js file that you double click. But still, that's pretty much where my proofs of concept sort of fall off, because I start realizing the reality of, oh dear, the layout and everything, the UI system of AppKit is just not fun. It's, I'd be doing very much more productive with web. Interesting to see Swift CocoaPods. Well, if you want Swift CocoaPods, I think the answer is Swift Package Manager, to be honest. But yeah, TS is what I can do, and I think it's I can do very quickly. So, and there's a lot of work to be done, so I need to optimize for that. But also, Ruby is a scripting language. It's untyped. It's at least this one's untyped and very dynamic. So TypeScript is a much better fit if you want to quickly port that kind of stuff. And we can make it. We could, once we've refactored it all into its fastest possible shape in TypeScript, then maybe someone could come along and redo it in Rust. But one thing at a time. I'll do what I can handle. So welcome along. We've got 2 more viewers since I last checked. How is everyone doing today? What's everyone up to? And what's your interest in rewriting CocoaPods? Have you got a use case for this? All right, next up, we're going to move on to title. So maybe I can do this full screen. If we have this property, this treat titles as messages, then we'll call the static method message title. Whoops, come on. Title, and we're going to pass along the option verbose prefix. Cool. Otherwise, we're going to set title, which is a local constant, I think, to verbose prefix plus what on? Is that inline conditional? There's a question. Does this apply to the whole line or just that bit? I think it probably applies to the whole line. Any ideas? Has anyone seen this in Ruby before? Is this going to apply to the whole line or just that final operation of adding the title. I think it's more likely that if config.verbose, then, so let's say, what did the title, okay. Yes, okay, I see, title actually came in as a param. So if we've got verbose turned on, we're going to prefix verbose. Yeah, so I'd say I'm pretty sure it's the whole line. I do agree. I think just in terms of the logic of what we're aiming for, it's about verboseness, so only put a verbose prefix on if we've got it configured as such. Okay, so save that up. Next up, either way, do another block of those. If this title level is under 2, we'll add a line break to the title. Okie dokie. And then they sort of change the way they're doing things, but it's going to end up the same in the TypeScript. Okay, so first up, we shall, let's just do this out here a minute. So my equivalent to that is we set, oh, hold up. Oh, that's cool. I see how this works. So the first level of indentation, everything gets written in yellow, and then the next level it's green, I guess. Okay. So title. Ugh, it's so disorientating doing this on such a large font size because the UI element is going to cover everything. Okay. Oh, they're calling that color. Fine, we'll call that color as well. So if you looked into your list of title colors and found that there's one corresponding to the given level, then we'll do a if color, then title equals title dot. I don't think we can do a title.send color, so we need to use the equivalent Node.js API here. So evidently Ruby's got this thing where the string primitives can be sent a color. But we can do this in Node.js. Node.js docs console colors. Let's see how this works. So obviously people would normally use a library like Chalk or whatever, but then I'm gonna have to spend the next few minutes like setting all that up. I mean, I could come back to this later. We could cheat. We could actually, have I got... Oh, Oscar! Nice to have you along. Yeah, so... Yeah, if you're having breakfast, have a very nice one. So yeah, just having a bit of culture shocks staring at this Ruby here. It seems you can send colors into strings. I'm going to see if ChatGPT can tell me how to do that in idiomatic Node, but I think it's going to fail on that. Turn ChatGPT back on. Not that one. Copilot, that's what it's called. Okay. So in Ruby we can color text using a string, e.g. title, by calling title.send color. How can we do that in Node.js without bringing in a dedicated library? Send. Let's see how this goes. Get color code. Get out of here. This is why I have ChatGPT. This is why I have Copilot disabled. It's absolutely useless. What is get color code? Fine. Okay, it's X1B. What color is that supposed to be? Okay, there is gonna be some colors. Right, we'll do some Stack Overflow instead. So, Node.js set colors on console text. I don't want a library, I just want to do this in Node. Okay. That's very hard to read. Can I get a super simple? That's more like it. So I think that's like the opening color and that's the closing color, and we're just going to try and do that. So X1B means start coloring, and then you have your, this is what the color is, kind of 4 to 5 character sequence. Oh boy, and we're going to need to translate all of these title colors up here. Static read only title colors codes. I'm going to be, you know, we'll title color map. How about this then? Yellow is 33M. Okay. We'll const that up for now, and we'll do a green is what exactly? 32M. Sweet. So const color code is going to be title color map color. This. Save it up. Well, yeah, it's maybe not going to find it, so what's wrong with that? That's key of type of user interface. Brilliant. All right, we're back in action. So it's actually going to be as that. Oh, jeez. But I want to say that this is actually optional as well. Color code is, let's just say it as string or undefined. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We should really make a function for that. But if we've got a color and a matching color code for it, then we shall set the color code in there, and then we've got a closing color code, and then it's complaining, get out of my way, unicorn. Disable. Oh, I got to disable 2 things. No? Oh, actually, no, that's okay. That I can handle. Sweet. To do, check if this is actually correct. And of course, because nobody actually checks to-dos ever, we'll do a fix me, which we'll definitely check. Okay, and then finally, back on track, we'll do this dot. Hang on. Where am I? We're working on title, right? Oh, okay, it's because it's just gone off screen. Just check back on chat. RNX kit has some helper function but doesn't use chalk. Yeah. I think we're past it, but thank you. Yeah. I think we'll probably be coming back to this anyway, but just for the sake of keeping momentum up, we'll shove that in for now. And I'll just check that I got that correct. So we've got X1B. That B can be capital or lowercase, doesn't actually matter. Color code is going to be one of these 33Ms with a bracket, and then 32M is the green. Yeah. And then it closes off with 1XB and a 0M with a brace. Sweet! Okay, so where were we? Trying to move on to this. Hold up. This dot puts. My screen is too small. This dot puts, and we're gonna put. That's a very strange way. So they're just trying to stringify title, but in JavaScript, that string is already a string, so there's nothing more for us to do. We can just run it past it as is. All right, next up is the indentation level. So we want to convert this code here. I've done this, right? I've done the if else. Hold up. If, is this in the right block? This is why I don't like these the thing about Ruby is you have these massive bits of nesting, if, else, and then end. And just something about the language encourages massive triangles and pyramids of doom. So it's very easy to get lost, especially when I can only show this many lines in the view so that you can all read it properly. I'd normally have like 100 lines rather than 20. So if we've got a code and a color code, then we will redo the title, yes, and then after that block we will put the title, otherwise we'll just do a message. Sweet, okay, so the next line needs to go here, so we'll grab that, copy that over, and we'll say the next bit of code to heal, it's going to be this to indentation. See how the inspector is so bugged? When you've got this little screen space, it cannot handle it. Maybe I just need to give it a bit more. Plus equals relative indentation. Yeah, that seems to be helping. This to title level plus plus, and then if we were given a block, which we're going to have to support, so let's just take a callback from over here. Save it up. If you've got a callback, then call it dot. And then we need to wrap this whole thing in a try catch, or rather try finally. Yoink. I'm sorry if this is disorienting. I'm disoriented as well on this tiny landscape. I don't know how the proper programming like streamers manage. Okay, so we shove. Yeah, I think that's right. And then we ensure. This finally bit here, this is the ensure block. So we ensure that indentation level gets reduced by relative indentation. And then finally, this to title level is put back to normal. And maybe that is a 2D. Sweet. Let's just zoom out and we can look on our landscape and see the glorious fields that have been healed from the scourge of Ruby into the warm embrace of TypeScript. Now, what's kind of curious to me is that the Ruby takes up a lot less space. I was not expecting that. It almost makes me question, like, yeah, it's are we really doing a good thing here, rewriting this into TypeScript? But you know, maybe some of these, that's just how you'd express it. All right, well, fine. Moving on to the next one. Welcome along, recent extra concurrent viewers. How was your day? What are you up to? What are you working on? And what's your interest in rewriting CocoaPods from Ruby to TypeScript? Do you have use for that? Okay, this one supports being given a block as well, so we'll just grab that. Save that in. And this is a much blessedly smaller one. So, zoom back in so everyone can read. Let's go full screen, a bit less distracting. So, this message, if we've got config.verbose, then message gets rewritten as verbose prefix message. I tend to like doing this in template strings rather than with like plus expressions, so that it gets better hints as to how to stringify things. It's generally not a problem, but sometimes you can get a surprise when if like undefined or null comes in, maybe whatever. Anyway, this is my habit. I have a possible superstition that this might be a little bit faster because the runtime can see, well, that's only string business goes on there, whereas plus operations on strings could be a number of things. All right, we've got this puts indented message, but only if config is verbose, so we could shove that in there as well. I think that's fair, right? Yeah, surely. Okay. Then we do this, indentation level plus equals relative indentation. And then if you're given a block, now's your chance to run it. Ugh, so bad at this. And then we wrap the whole thing in a try-catch. We don't do anything particular with the error. So elevate all this into the try, and then as the finally block, we set the indentation level back to normal by subtracting the relative indentation that we added earlier. Sweet, that's one more function, and you'll see we are nearly halfway down the file. But thankfully, this is all relatively easy stuff I can zombie mode through. Let's see, next up we have to implement info. I should actually specify what we're working on here. So this user interface file is the console manager, so it's kind of like, it's got its own custom like console.log, console.info, console.whatever, and it does a whole bunch of pretty printing to make sure that your indentation goes nicely. And we're just, because that is used extensively throughout the code base, it is worth porting that quite faithfully. Indentation. So this will be a local variable, I guess. Equals, if the config is verbose, right. Actually this.config.verbose, then not self but indentation level, otherwise not. Yes, okay, that makes sense. Then we'll have our indented is, oh god, is this a Ruby function from the Ruby standard library? What is wrap string in Ruby? No! What? That's no help. Clearly that's not how to use Copilot. Copilot is to insert code, not to ask questions. Okay. Right, we're gonna have to look this up. What is wrap string? Ruby wrap string. Unless it's one of ours. Oh! Yes! It's one of ours. Sweet. Okay, we're back in business, boys. Let's go. So, indented equals this dot wrap string with a miss. I am blind. It's covering up everything I need right now. Okay. One line. Okay. And then we... I'm blind here, so I'm just going to put a bunch of lines in between us. We're going to put the indented bit there. We're going to do this indentation level goes up by 2 because that's pretty... What indentation level do people tend to use? I used to be everything gets 4, but now I'm a bit of a indent on 2 kind of guy. And then we set the instance variable. Well, actually, this is a static class, so the singleton variable to treat type as a message true, yeah. And then if we were given a block, which we'll need to support with a comma, then we'll call it. And you'll see I'm being disgusting with the way I write my code because I just do one save and it puts it all back to normal. That's why you should be using Prettier. It saves your wrists. And it reduces the amount of thinking time deliberation time you need to have doing unimportant stuff like putting everything back in order. We shall express this ensure thing as a try finally again, and then we set that back to false, and then we undo what we did earlier with the indentation level, save up Bob's your uncle, clean it off, one more function down. We really need like a hit counter. Could I do like a little bit of text saying functions implemented, progress bar, okay, functions implemented, X out of Y, and then make a text small. Yeah, this is gonna get smaller, don't you worry. Functions implemented. Alright. This is our North Star. We are going to work out how many functions there are in here. How do you do that? How do I find out how many functions there are in here? Okay. Mini challenge. Work out how many methods are in declared user interface. So I'm gonna try doing this using TypeScript trickery. Let's just say we're gonna use map types, and we're gonna say take a look at all the keys in the key of user interface, but only look at keys where if you were to take type of user interface and key into it, and the value were to be a function, then you keep that key. Otherwise, hold up, question mark, oh, extends function. Then you keep that key, otherwise you don't keep that key. And then we just say what the key was. Yes, prettier. That's just, hold up. All the keys in the key of type of user interface. There we go. And we should have a few keys there. Yes! Lovely. So that's all the functions, and there's 7 more. Now the question is, oh, we could actually just do true there. So the question is, how many of those are there? Is there a way in TypeScript to count those? I think that there is if you do a massive infer stack. We could see that. Alright. TypeScript count keys. Interface. No. I think I'll just count these manually. This is starting to get done. But I was thinking if you did one of these massive kind of generics where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and you do some kind of you pass along hang on, methods. Is there no audio? My audio mixer is saying that audio is definitely happening. Can anyone confirm that that's the case? Key of methods. Type. Ugh. I apologize to everyone coming in, seeing me doing this here. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to put up on OBS our rate of progress and show how many methods we've mapped so far. So I'm seeing if there's a way in TypeScript to count all the methods in our class. We can get the names of all methods, but then can we count how many keys are in there? And there's probably a way. I think, as I said, with a stack like this, that kind of looks into that array, and it says sort of if each of it would kind of need to be a. But yeah, let's get some work done. So I'm just going to copy these out, and it says 4 more. Phew, audio is fine. That is a big relief. So I'm just going to find out 1, 2, 3, 4. We therefore have how many lines selected? Is that line selected? No, it's not. Hold up. Count lines. No. Right. We're going to jump into Sublime Text. 18. Okay. There's 18 methods to map. Alright. Let's just adjust this thing. Progress. Edit. Properties. Are going to be methods, class methods implemented. Here's question mark out of 18. Okay. We're going to go down this list. So we've implemented 1 in a section. Let me just zoom out a bit. We've got section. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, with under 5, we are nowhere. Unless I see some more. So 5. Yeah, geez, I've only done 5. Okay. Just gonna set properties on that. Select fonts. Can I align that to center? And you really... OBS gives you nothing, I swear, when it comes to like text handling. All right, well, thank you for putting up with that. Welcome along, everyone. I see Dylan here from the TSC. Actually, Dylan? Oh, wait, Dylan who has... Hold on. Where am I? Let's get back to work. Sorry, I am losing my bearings. So, yes, sorry, Tim. Yeah, because I see you in the Discord TSC chat because of relics of time, and so I thought, hang on, is Dylan actually on TSC? So I sort of trailed off. But you'd be welcome to join any time. I have extended the offer, but Dylan is not hungry for power, so it will be what it is. Thank you, Oscar Agbazi, if I've said that right. Unfortunately, I do have to run in 15-20 minutes as I've got my dental appointment, my hygienist appointment coming up. Has anyone seen this in Ruby? That's not a thing, right? That's just a string. I think we're good. And then dark green? Dark green? Ruby has got some fun features for text handling, I gotta say. We're gonna have to do it the way we did it before. So we'll eventually make a convenience helper for this. I apologize. So the color code is gonna be, oh boy, we had our title color map dot green. Fortunately, we've implemented that, and we're going to have our message. Yeah, sorry, this is not how I'd normally code. I've just got precious little time before I have to run off. Green message. Let's just do it like that. How about that? You know what? Get out of here. Disable that from the entire file. Sweet. Class methods implemented. If I could just adjust that text. We're up to 6. We're done 1/3. Sweet. Okay, next up. Moving on to path. If you got a path name, I can see we can actually reverse this condition because it's got do try to get rid of like the negative cases first, or the kind of the simpler, smaller branches first. So if there's no path name, return that. So in Ruby, it's got implicit returns, which can make code rather hard to port because you're not quite sure what's going on. We've got any type here because I think I wasn't quite sure what I was dealing with. Path name is a string. Yeah, sweet. It's actually a thing that can be stringified, but in JavaScript that's everything. thing, I think. So if you don't have a path name, we do all that. And that then simplifies like this. Let's shove all that above so that the IntelliSense doesn't cover it all up when I continue. So if you do have a path name though, we're going to do this.config. I cannot see. This.config.podfile path. And again, Ruby can do some real crazy things to strings. So we're going to do the path.dirname. I've not imported that just yet. Import all of path from node path. Save that up, and we'll do path.dirname of this. Whoops. Save it and lose all my white space again. But we only do. Hold up. Ah. Yes, okay. If this.config.podfile path is truthy, an occupied string, then we set from path like this. Now, is from path a member variable or what? It's just a local constant. Ruby's so disorienting, isn't it? Let from path be a string, which isn't used. But then otherwise, from path is going to be, and this is not very often used operator, it's going to be the CWD, which we can grab from node process. Right, that's all done. We can, there's probably a faster way to express that, but just I'm running out of time before I have to head off. And then path. Is this a member? Oh no, we just, okay, fine. I think that's a local variable. There's a begin rescue. That kind of looks like a, that's a try catch, isn't it? And then at the end of all that, they return a stringified version of the path. So if all goes well, so if it doesn't work out, in the return block, you return path name, but if it, there's going to be no catch. How do you write that? Yeah. But if it does go well, you, oh, relative path from path. How do you do that in Node.js? I think this is one of those functions from the Ruby SDK where I thought, ooh, that looks handy. Relative path from. I don't think Node.js path has anything like that, does it? Let's see. Docs. Relative. Oh, sweet. Let's go. Let's go. So, hide that off. So, how would this even... We're trying to express that. That's a bit small. And to express that, we need path to relative, path from your from path. Yeah, from path name. I think that'll be it. And can it throw an error? Yes, it throws a tight error. Sweet, so the try catch makes sense, and we are done with that. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Oh. And that means we can update our progress count. Properties. Update 6 out of 18. 7 out of 18. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Okie dokie. Yeah, and I think at this point I shouldn't take on another one because I do need to head off for my dental hygienist appointment, routine appointment. Don't worry for me, I shall be fine. No scary teeth things going on, just making them a bit less green. I say drinking my jasmine green tea. The sort of, you know, you got to make them work for it. You got to make your teeth as gnarly as possible in the last moments before your hygienist appointment. That's sort of that's just common sense, isn't it? Looks like Twitter's blowing off the hook, bro. What's going on here? I don't know if I should be checking checking notifications that are potentially just rolling the dice and seeing if they are like stream friendly notifications or not. I don't think I should be necessarily reading them on stream, but maybe we'll just take a chance. I don't know. I'll view them off screen and then I'll bring them in. Okay, confirmed, they're safe. So Leslie, thank you very much. TypeScript Legend has 0 chill. That's me. Confirmed 0 chill. Where was that? So they started here. Yeah, the rewrite, I think a rewrite in Rust would be sort of the ideal for CocoaPods, but I'm never gonna, there's no way I can possibly like rewrite these thousands of lines of code on many files in a language I'm barely capable of using. Node.js, JavaScript is a much closer match to Ruby in terms of that both scripting languages are both highly dynamic and flexible. And TypeScript brings the type safety that Ruby's lacking and the refactoring ability. So I think that's the sweet spot for productivity here. Tiger. All right, sweet. I think I've got to dash off now, but thanks so much for the love, guys. Do this again sometime for sure, maybe even in a few hours, but you know, I think time zones may mean much of the world is asleep at that point. But yeah, thanks for coming along, and see you next time. I will be announcing streams, as always, with absolutely no notice, generally around this time of day, and or on weekends. Sort of, yeah, a few minutes beforehand on Twitter, and I'll throw the same thing into the TypeScript Discord. But yeah, thanks for coming along, and see you next time. Bye.